Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are going to have a little chat about the experience of Dáibh Immel, the hEdge school, the school on the edge, this liminal experience that we've thrown ourselves into since we have been so isolated over the last 6 months or so. We've had an amazing experience with a series of about 13 different courses that we've put together. And now after a good intensive planning period, we're going to announce a new semester of courses. So we're going to have a little chat about that, lads. I suppose the questions are, what has the experience been like for us? And what has the experience been like for the participants that have really committed to these courses so far? That's the first question, really. What do you think, Noreen? What's been your experience overall?
Well, I've learned a huge amount from all of this. But it's kind of wisdom that's universal. So it's nothing new to me or to you, but it's waiting to be born. And that's what we're hoping that the next course will be. There's a lovely Zen saying that says, there's nothing new to be born within you. You are part, I'm not exactly quoting it exactly now, but this is the idea. You are part of a beginningless beginning. And it's only to be awakened there within you, to become aware of itself. And that's what I've learned, the wisdom that I've learned from so far, is how to awaken that awareness in myself, first and foremost, but also in my own Dodron way to articulate it for you and to muddle our way through wisdom, Sophia, as we'd say, Nart, we'd say in Irish. And so I'm very excited about that. That's what I've learned from the so-called lockdown, I think, lads, too, which is all to do for me with what I'm trying to term and put words on. And the nearest word I can put on it is prayer. And prayer is universal. It's part of what it means to be alive. Every moment, we often talk about the spirit that we breathe as the air. I think prayer is the air we breathe too. Breathing in and breathing out is the simplest of all prayers. And then we add on to that, we add concepts, thoughts, neuroses, all sorts. But if we can just go back to that simple prayer of breathing in and breathing out together.
I'm really glad you used the word awareness there, Noreen, because it has made us more aware of our own relationships and of the community that's building throughout these courses every time we've done it. And an awareness of the usefulness of the poetry and the songs and our own stories, you know, reflected by people sharing their stories during our 2-hour sessions online. So it's a wonderful term. I wouldn't mind looking into the etymology of awareness, actually, to see what was there. But of course, we do use a bit of meditation and silence when we all gather together at the beginning, and a bit of interfaith prayers and poems of our own and other people's, Irish and the world over, Irish songs, the Gregorian chant. We're all singing away, and it's a great meeting. Really, what I've gotten out of the courses that we've offered so far and the ones coming up is how amazingly unique it is that we're at the crossroads of so many different fields of thought, really. And we're able to have fun in the middle of it, so we'd be laughing away. And it's something about the personal and the academic, and the melding of those, and the way hEdge School works as well. It asks, you know, people to share sometimes as well. So we try to, you know, use our own story in the framework of spiritual, theological, academic, poetic, musical knowledge, wisdom, really. So it's made me very grateful for our relationships and for our ability to sustain these courses. And yeah, they're certainly unique for sure.
And you talk about awareness too. I think that's very interesting too, because I always see awareness. I'm not sure about the actual etymology of it, but I always see it in terms of awe. Awe. That, you know, when you come into awareness,
Nice.
come into the realm of awe. In Irish, we talk about awareness as being tuiscint, lovely word, tuiscint, which is very deep knowledge of your presence in the universe. And, you know, I was only thinking there the other day of our courses too are kind of like, well, you know me now, I'm always talking about the God context because I never stop praying, and which I think is the realm where we all meet too. But you know that our courses are kind of the difference between God being on our side and God being at our side. And that's what we're trying to experience, that what does it mean that God is at our side as opposed to being on our side. It's that intimacy of divine connection with the visible and the invisible world there, which has been there from the beginning of time. I mean, Christianity came along there in the 1st century BC. But where was God before then? Before 7,000 years, when humanity was on the planet. The Big Bang, for heaven's sake, that was God speaking and creating the universe. So this is the universal God that we're trying to get back. And Ireland here, I'll stop talking now because I'm getting very excited too, you know. But Ireland is perfectly poised to decipher the rubble of the crumbling Roman Catholic Church, to pick up the pieces and to create the phoenix from which this new connection, and of course there's nothing new, as I said, you know, nothing new at all, ever ancient, ever new we talk about. But what we offer you too, I think, is a family connection. I suppose I'm very conscious of that because I've just come from a funeral meeting there, which I will be celebrant to that funeral of a man who died very suddenly, a man of 62. And to see a family thrown into dismay and chaos at the lack of their father. And so I'm very conscious of the privilege which it is to be blood family and also soul family, which is what we're offering you too, that we're taking you into our family in great gratitude and warmth, intimacy and friendship.
Very much, and there's a solidarity in not only spirituality that we talk about, but also the mythology, Irish and other ancient cultures. We look into a bit of mythology as well. There's great shelter and wisdom in all of these things, and the poetry has great shelter and wisdom, and we can all hold hands in the face of the maelstrom that is inevitably coming for us all. My favorite catchphrase the last 2 weeks is, "Nobody gets out of here alive."
Or you could add to that what Winston Churchill said: if you're going through hell, keep going.
You rarely quote Winston Churchill, Noreen. That's one of the first times I've heard you quote Winston.
And I don't know where that came out of. But this is the spirit too, you know, which we're offering you as well, that there is an energy that goes between us when we come together to talk deeply. Because most of the time we're talking just shite when we meet one another. You know, we don't really talk deeply. But when you're talking deeply, you're listening beyond the words, listening to each other, And that's the greatest gift you can give to anybody. And Owen, you might talk about that because you're a genius at listening, I think.
I don't know about that, but I was thinking of awe, and you mentioned too, like to awaken. And there's a great Rumi quote. He says, "Why, when the world is so huge, have you chosen to wake up in a prison?" And that idea of consciousness, and of course, what's strange about that is we've woken up in a prison in a sense of restriction of movement and restriction of our old way of life. But what's interesting is any of us could wake up in the morning in a prison. We could lose the ability to use your legs. You could wake up in that kind of prison, or you could wake up and the death of a loved one, like you're saying, Noreen, you could get the phone call and you could be in another type of prison. And so the choice is, what do you do when that life, the old way, has been restricted or taken away? What do we do? And so what we did, the three of us, is we pulled together in our three different parts of the world using whatever technology we could hold on to. And if we didn't have Zoom, we'd use the phone. And if we didn't have the phone, we'd write letters. And if we didn't write letters, we'd have to knock on our neighbor's door and actually have a conversation with somebody. But the hope, the choice is always there. The hope is always there to be reached out to, regardless of how horrendous and terrifying the external lockdown is that we're living, that we're enduring. And so for us, this is the way that we come together. For our participants too, they choose to spend this time in community with us and in conversation with each other. And I think it's just a way to nourish ourselves while we are in this period, this tough time of our lives. And of course, most people, if not all of us, we endure tough times, whether there's a global pandemic or not a global pandemic. And there's moments of joy, but all of these things pass, and really we all share the difficulty, the harshness, the aloneness, the strange phenomenon of aloneness that the human life has. So I just see this as one of these places to come together, and we share our song and story and family, all of these tools that we have to bring people together. And out of that we see great magic happening.
And you bring up
a whole new frontier. A whole new frontier of the courses has been the technology and the potentiality to open that heart space among a group of people who have never met and may never meet. Has been a real revelation to me about even praying together and looking at certain rituals. It's been really wonderful.
And picking up on that analogy, Owen, of the prison, I think that's wonderful, because we are in a prison, but of course we're in our own cells. And of course a cell is also a term for a monastic space. And so here we are all in our own little cells in the one prison. And a great analogy for that, because our cell, Jonathan Aiken said that one time when he was imprisoned, and he turned to the Psalter, to the book of Psalms. And he says, a cell is a great place to pray in, to what the monks found from long ago. So we are a little monastic community, a little sangha, of course, which the Buddhists talk about together. So come and join us to be with us at this sangha. And we found that, it's amazing the people who come into your ambience, who are led into us. And of course, we meet them personally too, actually. And many of them have become very dear friends that we listen to, and they listen to us.
That's wonderful. So, good. Okay, I'm going to stop this video, and now we'll start another one, and we're going to ask the question, what do we think lies ahead for in the coming semester? What lies ahead for anyone who participates and joins us in the coming semester? So thank you all very much, and we'll try that question next.